PIPEDA, Personal Information Protection and Electronic Documents Act. PIPEDA established the rules how private businesses and organizations manage personal information. This video's goal is to help businesses and organizations understand their responsibilities under PIPEDA. What is personal information? Personal information includes name, age, income, opinions, evaluations, employment files, medical records, and many others. Some personal information needs to be provided for business purposes and for your workplace. PIPEDA tries to balance your right to information privacy and organizations' need to collect information for business reasons. Which business and organizations must follow PIPEDA? There are two kinds. First, there are businesses operating under federal legislation. For example, telecom, TV, radio, banks, transportation, and secondly, organizations involved in commercial activity. Many organizations feel confused. Must registered charities follow PIPEDA? First, let's clarify the meaning of commercial activity. It means selling, buying, leasing, and trading. Most charities are not involved in commercial activity. If your organization charges membership fees, that is not a commercial activity. If your organization distributes brochures or newsletters, that is not a commercial activity. Advocacy, meetings, community action, these are not commercial activities. What about fundraising? Fundraising itself is not a commercial activity. Donating is one thing. Buying, selling, leasing, or trading is something different. If people donate to your organization and you make a list of their names and addresses, that is not a commercial activity. But if you trade your donor list to another organization for their donor list, that is a commercial activity. And you must follow PIPEDA rules. If your organization wants to trade your donor list to another organization, you must have permission from the people whose names are included in that list. Maybe your list has many names. Can you ask every person for permission to trade their name? That's a lot of work. Imagine if your list has 15,000 names. Could you ask each one of those 15,000 people? The solution is easy. Your member form or your donation form should include a paragraph explaining that sometimes your organization and other organizations trade lists. If the person does not want their name traded, they can check a box on the form. If the person checks the box, your organization must remove that name before trading the list. Some provinces have their own privacy protection legislation that applies to organizations like charities. You also need to check your province's rules. How should businesses and organizations manage personal information? The Office of the Privacy Commissioner of Canada recommends following 10 principles. Responsibility. Purpose. Permission. Limits on collection. Limits on use, sharing, and keeping information. Accuracy. Protection. Awareness. individual access, and complaints procedure. Responsibility. Your business or organization should pick an employee to be responsible for managing personal information. That person needs training to understand the rules, monitor the policy and procedures, monitor any transfer of personal information to other businesses and organizations, and answer questions about privacy management. Purpose. Why is your organization collecting personal information, and how will you use it? Before you collect the information, you must inform people why and how. They must approve. Some good reasons for collecting personal information: to open a bank account, provide worker benefits, distribute your association's newsletter, guarantee a hotel reservation. Permission. People must understand clearly why your organization is collecting their personal information. Your organization is responsible to make sure to communicate effectively: speech, writing, signing, hiring a professional interpreter, whatever. And be honest. No deception about your purpose. When an individual gives permission, you must record it. For example, check off a box or have a form saying, "I permit your organization to collect my personal information for a specific purpose," and sign it. You can get permission in a personal meeting, by phone, TTY, mail, email, and so on. Limits on collection. Before you start collecting personal information, you need to identify exactly which information you need for your purposes. Don't gather a huge amount of information that you don't need. That's wasteful, dangerous, hard to manage, and hard to protect. Only collect the information that is really necessary for your purpose. Limits on use, sharing, and keeping information. Personal information is gathered for a specific purpose. It must be used for that purpose. When the purpose is completed, you cannot keep the information forever. You must set time limits for keeping it. When the time is up, you must destroy it carefully. For example, by shredding it or deleting the electronic file. Accuracy. From time to time, you must check collected personal information to make sure it is still correct. Also, to make sure you still need it for the same purpose. If the information is no longer needed, destroy it. If the information is still needed, it's a good idea to contact the individual and ask if there are any changes, corrections, or updates. Each time you correct or update information, you should record the date when the correction was made. Protection. It's really important to protect personal information from theft, loss, misuse, or unauthorized people seeing it. Train your employees to know how to protect information. Use alarms, locked files, passwords, firewalls, security pass cards. Awareness. Inform clients and staff about your policies and practices for managing personal information. Make sure your policies are clear and easy to understand. You can post them on your website, print and post them in your office or publish them in your newsletters. You should include contact information such as who in your organization is responsible, how individuals can request to see their information, and how individuals can make a complaint. Individual access. Suppose a person asks if your organization has any of their personal information on file. You must respond truthfully and explain how your organization uses the information. If another organization traded for the information, you must identify that organization too. If the person wants to see their personal information, you must show it to them. You have up to 30 days to produce this information for them. In some cases, the deadline can be extended, depending on the situation. If the person says the information is wrong, you should correct it. If you feel the information is not wrong, or if the person can't prove it is wrong, you should record the disagreement and advise the person of your organization's formal complaint procedure. Complaints procedure. Your business or organization must have a written procedure for handling complaints. It must be simple and clear. First, record the complaint, what is it about, and the date it was filed. Next, choose a person skilled in handling complaints. Ask that person to investigate. When the investigation is finished, you must share the results with the individual. Lastly, inform the individual of your follow-up actions to fix the problem. Businesses and organizations must know the requirements of PIPEDA. This video explains some of the most important points. If you need more detailed information, contact the Canadian Association of the Deaf or the Office of the Privacy Commissioner of Canada. We're here to help you.